I got lots of placentas donated to me by mothers after giving birth to children. The placentas are discarded anyway. So nobody has any problem using those amniotic membrane, but it was connected to the baby. That's the magic part of it before birth. It's like a blanket surround the baby. So I got these placenta brought to the laboratory and tease out a little thin saran wrap membrane out of the placenta that used to surround all of us before birth. And I was doing research on this amniotic membrane to see if it does reduce scar and regenerate the eye. And it does. So I eventually developed amniotic membrane contact lens. And it's interesting that when amniotic membrane contact lens was put on these injured eyes, indeed, it essentially recreates this before birth environment on top of the eye, allow the eye to regenerate once again and reduce the scar, improving eyesight. Then I decided, I'm just going to give the technology to the world. So I put online my patent. And I actually went around the world to about nearly 60 nations, teach about the amniotic membrane contact lenses over a 20-year period or so. I taught over 10,000 eye doctors. So today, amniotic membrane contact lens is a worldwide $100 billion industry now. And then doctors from nearly every nation have used the amniotic membrane contact lenses, and millions of patients have had their eyesight improved and restored. To me, it shows that amniotic membrane contact lenses, powerful technology, can utilize fetal tissue, stem cell, but yet preserving life at the same time. Science and faith do work together.
That's such a remarkable story of God's common grace, that God has given us the commission to use science to help people. He's given us the minds to do so. He's given an environment in which we can apply it. And so in your journey to faith, praying to God for some kind of technology to help people, and the Christian God specifically answered it by giving you this idea, is one of the things that solidified you in your faith. So it's a combination of being convinced there's a creator, looking at the Gospels and the person of Jesus, and also examining the evidence and then having an answered prayer. So how did this affect you? Because as I hear you talk about your story, it was difficult growing up, but it seems like you felt cared for, you had purpose, you come to America, you had a family that provided for you and loved you. You come to America, you're grateful for freedom. So becoming a Christian, how did that affect or shape you personally, professionally, relationally?
Great question. I think there are three major differences that being a Christian has made in my life. Number one is a purpose. After I became a doctor, finishing my 31 years of schooling, and I was ready to practice medicine as an eye doctor, I pray again as a Christian. Why should I do? What is God you want me to do? That specific beyond my regular job as an eye doctor. What is you want me to do specific for you? And in those prayers, that I felt that God was giving me a direction that I should use my long sought after difficult learn process to learn medical skills, 31 years schooling, to help those who need the most help, which are blind, orphaned children. So that's my book, From Darkness to Sight. Once again, I showed early, that has to do with the stories of these kids, blind orphan children from around the world, how we have restored their eyesight, the miracles. I would say that the glory of these stories, miracles, belong to Christ, because God was the one that instilled in my mind, to begin with, that I should use my long, hard-earned medical skill to help those who need the most help, those blind orphan children. So first difference is purpose. That a God-centric purpose, a God-inspired purpose that is beyond what we normally do. And I always tell my fellow Christians is that whatever job you have, you could be a real estate person, you could be, a business person, you could be a computer scientist, but what does God want you to do beyond what you normally do that's specific for Him? For me, beyond what I normally do, laser eye surgery is these charity surgeries to help these kids. Second, so that's a major different purpose. Second is eternity. That being a Christian, that gave me this fundamental comfort and a chance that if I be a good Christian, since God has died for our sin at the cross, and rose from death 3 days later, proving that he can conquer death. So being a Christian, I may have a chance for eternity as well with him. And the third difference, beyond the purpose, beyond a chance of eternity, is the journey. And that being a Christian doesn't mean that I just declare to the world, I'm Christian today, I'm just perfect, and my life is... No, it's a journey, and the life is no less challenging. Mm-hmm. And this journey is a commitment. That means God is the leader in my life, that when I have problems, when I'm stuck in something, I need to recognize I could ask him for guidance, for help. And I just told you the example that when I stuck with science and faith, I want to help patients reduce eye scarring, restore eyesight, knowing the fetus can heal without scar, doing research on fetal tissue, but at the same time, I don't want to hurt the baby. I don't want to hurt the life. So I fortunately prayed and listened carefully what God wanted me to do. Eventually, that the idea came to use the placenta is a God-inspired idea. So the three major differences being a Christian: a God-centered purpose, using science, but to do what? To do what God wants me to do, to help blind orphan children. Second, a chance for eternity, because he is the one who has conquered death, so we could have a chance as well, being a Christian. And third is a journey. There's a lifelong commitment, the commitment that we need to ask, always resort to him, ask for help when we're in trouble in life.
Those are three great answers. Now, I've noticed just watching some of your videos online, and of course your book that you wrote, that you're outspoken about your faith. You described earlier times where you were discriminated against because you're from China. Mm-hmm. Have you at times been discriminated against in the academic world, in the medical world because of your faith? Has it helped you? Is it a non-issue? Talk about that a little bit, if you will.
Great question, Sean. I appreciate this question very much. Yes, I was discriminated against in the academic world because of my outspokenness about my faith. In fact, in one occasion that people challenged me on the podium, I was speaking about the amniotic membrane contact lens because I've been teaching for 20 years, the doctors, and, as I told you, I basically donated technology to the world and trying to help doctors learn so that we can increase the speed of dissemination of knowledge. And so I could share that discovery that as I was describing the scientific presentation, no problem, but when I was describing the genesis of it, the idea, as I described to you, some people challenged, and they were not, they didn't believe that they have anything to do with Christian faith. Okay. So in fact, this is how I answered. So I was challenged sometimes because of my outspokenness about faith in the scientific arena. People believe there's no common ground between faith and science. So, and I used to think that's true. If I become a Christian, then, it's difficult for science and faith to work together. But through amniotic membrane contact lens development, which is featured in the film Sight, upcoming, that talk about it can actually work together. They can create science fetal stem cell technology without hurting the baby, right? And so I told those people, atheist scientists who challenged me, I said, well, you don't believe there's a common ground between science and faith? They said, no, we don't believe that. I said, okay, let me tell you the story. When I started practicing medicine, I have a strong desire. I want to pray with my patients because faith had played a significant role in my training, becoming an eye doctor, as I told you. The discovery of complexity of eye and the guidance of these Christian and the scientists, the doctors in my life. And so I want to pray, but then people told me that just like those scientists who challenge me in scientific presentations when I talk about faith, that no, atheists will be unhappy, Dr. Wang, if you pray. Okay, they will not come back to you to see you as an eye doctor. Then I realized, well, that's true, So then again, praying, that's key. I pray again. I say, well, God, I wanted to pray with my patient before eye surgery because faith is such an important part of my eventually become an eye doctor. But at the same time, I don't want to lose these patients. So I consulted my church elders and consulted the physicians and the Christians who I look up to. And they told me that if the right thing to do, there's a price to pay. And, Christ paid the ultimate price by dying for our sin at the cross. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna go out limb and pray with all my patients. So ever since I started my career, I pray with all my patients before each of my eye surgeries for them. But as a scientist, I always want to do research. And because people say there's no common ground between science and faith. If up to the atheists, they don't want me to pray. If up to myself, I want to pray with my patient before surgery, doing their surgeries. So I collected over a 2-year period about 200 some non-Christian patients for different ways. I figured out they're not Christians, and asked each of them the day after surgery, over a 2-year period. And the question to them day after surgery is, now you're happy with your surgery yesterday, but what I want to know is, were you offended when I prayed? And because I'm doing research, I'm always doing research looking for evidence. Is there evidence supporting the science and faith, or Christians and non-Christians could have common ground? Because it seems there's no common ground, right? Up to non-Christians, that's the questions raised by these atheist scientists in the scientific arena. When I present science and the faith, they were not happy about the faith aspect. They challenge me because they don't believe that they are scientists. They could not have anything to do with faith. So the answer came back with these over 200 so people that I surveyed the day after surgery over a 2-year period. Almost all of them said this way. I said, Dr. Wang, yesterday before my eye surgery, you did pray for me. I was not only not offended, I was moved. I said, how could you be moved that when I pray to my Christ that you do not believe? And they told me, the reason I was moved is because yesterday, underneath your laser, that I was lying there, I was nervous, my eye surgery coming, and you did come to my ear and say, Johnny, is it okay if I pray for us before your eye surgery? And honestly, well, the reason I asked for that, Sean, is because I was told I'm supposed to be politically correct. I should ask for permission. So I did every single prayer before. I always ask for permission. And then these folks told me the day after in the service that, Dr. Wang, honestly, I was so nervous underneath your laser. When my surgeon come to my ear and said, can I pray with you? I did not dare to say no. I said, well, I kind of took advantage of the situation, but I took advantage for God. So I felt okay. But my question is, were you offended? And they say, no, not only I was not offended when you prayed, but I was moved. And I said, how could you moved when you do not believe the Christ that I pray?
Yeah.
And they say, the reason I was moved is because in one of my most important moments in my life, which is my eye surgery, I do not want anything to go wrong. Okay, it has to do with the vision for the rest of my life. You brought something that is most important to you, your Christ. And I appreciate that. So at that moment, I realized that it's the love for fellow human being that transcends the boundary and faith and religion. It's the love for fellow human being that is our ultimate common ground.